What if the J-20 faced off against the F-35 over Taiwan? Two stealth fighters, two superpowers, one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the world. What happens if China's J-20 Mighty Dragon meets America's F-35 Lightning II over Taiwan? Would stealth win the day? Or would advanced sensors, allies, and strategy change everything? Let's break it down. In a world where geopolitical tensions simmer just beneath the surface, few regions are watched as closely as the Taiwan Strait. The narrow body of water between mainland China and Taiwan could easily become the flashpoint for a global conflict, one where the skies are filled with the most advanced stealth fighters humanity has ever built. If war were to break out over Taiwan, how would China's J-20 Mighty Dragon fare against the United States F-35 Lightning II in a real head-to-head confrontation? Would one jet dominate the skies, or would the outcome depend more on strategy, support systems, and information warfare than on aircraft specifications alone? Let's break down the technologies, tactics, and potential outcomes of this hypothetical but increasingly plausible stealth fighter showdown. The Taiwan Strait, a powder keg waiting to ignite. Taiwan is one of the most strategically and symbolically significant territories in the Indo-Pacific. While the island governs itself, China views it as a breakaway province that must eventually be reunified, by force if necessary. The United States, though not officially recognizing Taiwan as independent, has long maintained a policy of strategic ambiguity, while selling weapons to Taiwan and preparing to defend it if attacked. If conflict breaks out, it's almost guaranteed that the U.S. will deploy its most advanced fighters, including the F-35, to counter China's expanding air force, particularly its new fleet of stealth J-20s. Meet the fighters, J-20 Mighty Dragon versus F-35 Lightning II. Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon, China. China's J-20 is a fifth-generation fighter jet designed to compete with or counter the U.S. F-22 and F-35. It is large, sleek, and built primarily for long-range air dominance. Key specifications: top speed approximately Mach 2.0, combat radius approximately 1,200 to 2,000 kilometers, weapons PL-10 and PL-15 air-to-air missiles, strengths long range, large internal weapons bays, radar limiting design, weaknesses: suspected weaker sensor fusion and radar compared to Western counterparts, and engine reliability and stealth inconsistencies debated. Recent versions of the J-20 are equipped with thrust vectoring nozzles, improving agility, and a modern AESA radar, although it is still unclear how they perform in combat conditions. F-35 Lightning II, USA and allies. The F-35 is not just a fighter, it's a networked battlefield node. With unmatched sensor fusion, data sharing, and stealth across multiple spectrums, the F-35 is designed to act as a force multiplier, not just a dogfighter. Key specifications: top speed Mach 1.6, Combat radius, approximately 1,200 kilometers. Weapons, AIM-120D, long range, AIM-9X, smart bombs. Strengths, full spectrum stealth, unparalleled electronic warfare, advanced helmet display, cross-platform integration. Weaknesses, limited missile capacity per sortie, lower top-end speed and agility versus dedicated air superiority fighters. The F-35 is being adopted by more than 15 allied nations and is often deployed alongside AWACS, Aegis-equipped warships, and satellites, giving it a strategic advantage through data dominance. How a stealth fighter clash over Taiwan might unfold. In a full-scale invasion or air campaign over Taiwan, both sides would likely deploy their top stealth fighters to establish air superiority. But what would such a clash actually look like? Who sees first and shoots first? In modern air combat, victory often goes to the jet that sees the enemy first and engages from beyond visual range, or BVR. The J-20 boasts the PL-15, a long-range missile with a rumored range exceeding 200 kilometers. However, it may depend on off-board guidance, such as AWACS or ground stations, for targeting accuracy at maximum range. The F-35's AIM-120D missile has slightly shorter reach, approximately 180 kilometers, but benefits from the aircraft's sensor fusion, allowing it to engage targets with superior targeting data. Verdict: F-35 has an edge in situational awareness. J-20 might shoot first, but the F-35 might shoot more accurately. Electronic warfare and information superiority. The F-35 excels in electronic warfare. Its distributed aperture system, electronic countermeasures, and secure data linking allow F-35 pilots to see the battlefield in ways that the J-20 may not yet match. Meanwhile, the J-20's ability to share real-time data across multiple platforms remains uncertain. China has made progress in electronic warfare and battlefield networks, but its systems are not as battle-tested as those used by US and NATO forces. Verdict: F-35 dominates in data integration and EW capability. Dogfight: what if it gets close? While both jets are optimized for BVR combat, close-range encounters can still happen, especially in a dense mountainous region like Taiwan. The J-20, being larger, may struggle in tight maneuvers, although its thrust vectoring gives it added agility. The F-35, while not a super maneuverable fighter like the F-22, uses its helmet-mounted display system, or HMDS, to fire missiles just by looking, even without pointing the aircraft. Verdict: F-35 is more lethal at close range due to sensor advantage, even if it's slightly less agile. The bigger picture: allies, terrain, and strategy. Aircraft don't fight alone. In a real Taiwan conflict, US F-35s would work with Japanese F-35s, South Korean radars, Taiwanese F-16Vs, and even carrier groups with Aegis systems. China's J-20s would be supported by AWACS, long-range SAMs like the HQ-9, cyber operations, and electronic warfare aircraft. Geography also matters. Taiwan's mountainous terrain creates radar shadows and electronic interference, complicating detection. However, carrier-based F-35Bs could operate much closer to Taiwan than Chinese forces might expect, giving them a proximity advantage in a surprise engagement. Could the J-20 be bait? One theory gaining traction among defense analysts is that the J-20 may not be intended for air superiority in a classic sense. Instead, it could be used as a long-range sensor or missile platform, baiting enemy jets into air defense zones or drawing out F-35s for engagement by ground-based missiles. If this is true, the real threat may not be the J-20 itself, but what it's coordinating with. Escalation risks, the bigger problem behind the jets. A potential J-20 versus F-35 engagement over Taiwan isn't just a duel between two warplanes. It's the spark that could ignite a regional or global war. If the F-35 shoots down a J-20, or vice versa, the political consequences could be enormous. Neither the United States nor China can afford to look weak in such a moment. A single jet lost might trigger full-scale air combat operations, missile strikes on air bases or carriers, a larger naval conflict in the South or East China Sea, potential cyber attacks or economic retaliation. And that's before you consider the involvement of regional allies like Japan, South Korea, Australia, or even India, all of whom have growing security concerns related to China's rise. Technology isn't everything. Strategy still wins wars. Modern stealth jets like the J-20 and F-35 are highly advanced, but no platform operates in a vacuum. Even the best aircraft can be rendered ineffective if it's overwhelmed by superior numbers. It's flying without reliable early warning support. It's operating in a jammed or GPS-denied environment. Its pilots are less experienced or unprepared for the opponent's tactics. Historically, wars are often won by the side that combines technology, tactics, and timing most effectively, not just by fielding the coolest equipment. The F-35 has a strong track record of multinational training and integration. Pilots from over a dozen countries routinely fly together, simulate battle conditions, and refine tactics. The J-20, while impressive on paper, has yet to be battle-tested. It remains unclear how effective China's pilot training, logistics, and combat doctrine are in high-stress, high-tech environments. Final analysis. Who would win? If we're talking one-on-one in neutral airspace with equally skilled pilots, the F-35 likely wins. Better sensor fusion, stronger battlefield awareness, more integrated combat support. But real-world warfare is rarely that simple. Over Taiwan, the J-20 could have geographic and numerical advantages, striking from mainland China with shorter flight paths and larger logistical support. However, this comes at the cost of increased detection, vulnerability to long-range missiles, and the challenge of coordinating in a contested electromagnetic spectrum. In short, the F-35 wins in networked joint force scenarios. The J-20 poses a serious threat when used in coordinated saturation attacks. The true winner depends on who can outthink, outfight, and out-adapt in real time. Final thoughts and conclusions. The battle between the F-35 and J-20 would not come down to specs alone. It would hinge on training, coordination, supporting platforms, and the ability to process and act on battlefield information faster than the opponent. In isolation, the F-35 appears superior, especially when paired with a network of allies and assets. But in a real war over Taiwan, nothing happens in isolation. It's easy to get caught up in comparing jets and missiles, but here's the deeper takeaway. A fight between the F-35 and J-20 is not just a clash of machines. It's a confrontation between entire systems of warfare, ideologies, and global alliances. And if it happens, the world will change forever. Not because one plane wins, but because two nations failed to avoid a war that no one truly wants. So we ask, in a real showdown over one of the most contested pieces of land in modern history, who do you think would win? What do you think? If you've watched this far, I want to hear from you. Do you think the F-35 is truly the world's most dominant fighter? Can the J-20 surprise Western analysts with real combat performance? Will we ever see these jets fight, or will diplomacy win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in more military tech breakdowns, war simulations, and strategic analysis, consider subscribing or following for future content.